All right. Okay, so we're going to go to our final panel discussion of the day. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going on to our final panel discussion of the day, and this one is going to be a great one. Some voices are too clear and too seasoned to be intimidated. This conversation brings three leaders who speak plainly about power, accountability, and the cost of telling the truth. We will have Linda Sarsour, author and executive director of MPower Change, a nationally recognized organizer and Women's March co-chair who's led high-impact civil rights campaigns from NYC to Louisville. Also, Hazami Barmada, social innovator and host of the award-winning Finding Humanity podcast. She's a former UN and Harvard fellow who's built global programs at the intersection of tech, equity, and humanitarian impact. Also, Medea Benjamin, co-founder of Code Pink and Global Exchange, one of the country's most prominent human rights advocates and author of several books on war, foreign policy, and accountability. And our moderator, Zahra Billu, the executive director of CARE SFBA. She's a litigator and advocate known for taking on headline cases while expanding everyday legal services for Muslim communities. Give it up for our next panel discussion.
Time's up and we haven't even started. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, friends. This is such a beautiful crowd. You've all converged here in Michigan for ArabCon. Give it up for everyone at ADC who put in so much work. If any of you have organized a convention or a gala before, you know that they are running on fumes here, and we are so appreciative that they brought us all together. I am excited to be moderating a panel of my sisters, my sheroes, women that I get to see in person a few times a year, but I see on the internets all the time. You heard their bios, and so I'm going to jump right into it. This panel is called Unfiltered. I was telling Linda this morning that a family member called me and he said, I saw that panel's name. Can you manage how unfiltered you will be? Because I really want you to come home. And I said, it's not me you have to worry about on this one. That's Saturday. It's my co-panelists, my sisters. And so we'll give them the space to say what's on their hearts and on their minds. You heard their formal bios. And I was thinking, how do we ask the women that are leading our community and our movement spaces to introduce themselves? And the question that comes to mind for me is, what is motivating you right now? And so I'm going to start with Linda, and then we'll go down the line. Use the opportunity to tell us who you are, what gets you out of bed, and maybe even what keeps you up at night.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum salam.
Come on, ArabCon. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
First of all, I'm very honored and humbled to be here. Thank you to the ADC team, to Abid, to Suhaila, to Valentina, to Yasmin, to the incredible board that has converged us here in one of my favorite cities in the country, Dearborn, Michigan. Lots of drama in Dearborn, but I love it. Maybe that's the Palestinian in me. I'm attracted to cities with drama. I appreciate this question, Zahra, because I think oftentimes we don't get asked these kinds of questions. And for me, I have two motivations. Not three, not 10, two. One of my motivations is the people of Gaza, my people in Gaza. They are my motivation, they are my inspiration, they are my North Star, they are my guide, and everything that I do when I wake up every morning and go to night is to say to myself, am I making the Palestinian people of Gaza proud? That is my motivation. My second motivation is coming very shortly in the next 4 weeks, which is my baby granddaughter. And my baby granddaughter will be named after me. So if you couldn't deal with one Linda in the community, now you're going to deal with two. And I'm going to raise her to be an incredibly bold and brave and proud Palestinian American. And the reason why my granddaughter motivates me, or is one of my motivations, is not just because I'm going to be a grandma, which is already beautiful in of itself. It's because as the Israeli government continues to try to erase our people, I have a full-blooded Palestinian granddaughter that's coming into this world. A generation, a new generation. My granddaughter is Palestinian on every side of her family, from every grandparent to great-great-grandparent. And my Palestinian granddaughter is also from my village. She is on both sides and every side of her family. So she is a pure Bedouiya from the Bire. And it just is a reminder that as much as they will try to erase us, we will continue to rise, and we will continue to be born, and we will bring generations of Palestinians. Just like we as Palestinian Americans, I'm a first-generation Palestinian, I have not forgotten. My second-generation Palestinian children have not forgotten, and inshallah, we will have generations of Palestinian children in diaspora that have not forgotten, and will one day, inshallah, return to a free Palestine. What keeps me up at night? I heard CEO lawyers say this earlier, so I don't want to contradict my brother who I love dearly, but I also do believe that we've done and we've come a long way as a community, but we haven't come as long as of a way that we need to. So I don't want anyone leaving here being like, mashallah, we're such a great community. We did everything that we could for the Palestinian people. I do not believe that. And I do not believe that the people of Gaza believe that us as Palestinian Americans, Arab Americans, Muslim Americans have done everything that we can with the privileges that we hold in this country. So I'm hoping that this conference takes you to a higher place, that it challenges you to go back to where you came from Philadelphia to California to New York to New Jersey, to say, what more can I do? What more sacrifices can I make? What more risks do I take? What else do I have to give up in this moment so that inshallah one day the privileges that you give up here are ones that bring freedom and liberation to the Palestinian people.
How did we resolve the dispute about who goes next backstage?
I don't know. Medea?
Yeah, sure.
That was easy to resolve.
Mine is a combination, like I think for most of us. Grief, by seeing what's happening every day. Anger, knowing what the Israelis are doing. A sense of responsibility, especially as a U.S. citizen, that we know that it's our tax dollars and our bombs that are killing people. A member of the Jewish community, that makes me feel an extra sense of responsibility. A grandmother that wants to feel good playing with my grandchildren and not be thinking about the poor children of Gaza every time I play with them. But I would say what most motivates me is love for Palestinians. From the time I was 15 years old, which is a long time ago, and my parents sent me to live in a kibbutz in Israel, I met Palestinians and fell in love with them. And I found that in my years going to the West Bank, going to Gaza, I've been there 7 times, my best calling card was to say that I'm Jewish. And it was quite amazing because people would say, oh, thank you, please, can't you tell people we love the Jewish people, we have nothing against them. It's Zionism that is our problem, not Judaism. And that love really carries with me. And every time I meet people like you in the halls here and everything, you're getting this big hello, this big love, it makes me feel reinforced in my sense that the people in power in this country are so wrong in their viewpoint of Palestinians. I think of people like Senator Lindsey Graham, who has said that the Palestinian people are most radical people in the world, the most militant people in the world. He says they are taught to hate Jews from the day they are born. He says the way they're taught math is if you have 10 Jews and you kill 6 of them, how many are left? And I think just how disgusting that is, how wrong it is. The Palestinian people are the most loving people that I have met. Thank you.
I think for me, I mean, there's not much to say after these two remarkable, amazing women. What drives me is something inside. It is a combination of having become a mother and watching my tiny baby that was born at 29 weeks prematurity fight for his life connected to an incubator bed for months. And then contrasting that image against the image of Palestinian babies in mirror incubators without their parents by their side, without someone to advocate for them, alone, cold, abandoned, gasping for air as they were robbed of their lives from Israel. And in those moments, I started to interrogate internally what it meant for me to truly be human. Don't want to get philosophical, but I was up many nights on end asking myself, what type of person am I if I can't sacrifice the comforts that I have to live up to the values that I talk about, that I preach, that I espouse to, but I fall short of doing? And this is not to shame anybody, but a lot of our communities continue to fall short. We over-intellectualize problems instead of understanding that you change problems by confronting them. But few people are willing to do that. Reputational risk, credibility, income, wanting to be respected, likability politics, respectability politics. And on the other hand, there's an array of people that have built careers out of becoming influencers for Palestine on the internet, which also is very appalling in some way, but also important because we're reaching audiences that we haven't reached. So I grappled as a human with what does this all mean? And what does it mean for me in this moment to leverage my privilege, my knowledge, my compassion, my empathy, and my humanity to show up and by example, inshallah, creating pathways for other people to show up authentically. And so what guides me in big part is my mother, who is a proud Palestinian who has been robbed of a chance to be in Palestine. I have tried to enter Gaza repeatedly. I have never been allowed to enter Gaza. I was sent by the US State Department to enter Gaza as part of a program many years ago. I was denied entry to Gaza. Palestinians are robbed of a chance to be in our homeland, to be where our heart is, to be where our communities are, and to be in community. And so what drives me is a desire to shatter that. What drives me is a desire for my child to be able to proudly walk the streets of Palestine, not interrogated by an IOF soldier with a gun in his face like I have watched my mother way too many times. And what keeps me up at night is how do we get there? What more do we need to do to inspire and motivate other people to understand that we are the majority, but not in political power, not in social power, and not in economic power, because we are still hiding ourselves behind fear. And fear is a mental construct. What keeps me up at night is how the heck do we get more people to overcome that fear?
Hazami, you reminded me of something I remember Palestinians telling me when I had the honor of visiting with AMP several years ago. They said every time a US citizen pays their taxes, every time a US citizen supports a US-based corporation, every time a US citizen doesn't disrupt, they are choosing their safety, their security, and their liberty over literally our limbs. And it keeps me up at night, is I am in my bed and not in jail because I am choosing to pay my taxes. You asked a great question to segue us to my next one. How do we get there? If each of you had all of the resources, conquered all of the fear, which you have, mashallah, more so than the average person, and you could do whatever you wanted. How do we get there? Any volunteers to go first?
I'll start on this one. We, as a community, really have to start reflecting on the ways in which we decide certain things. We, as a community, have to start realizing that we have an abundance of resources. We have no shortage of resources, just so we're all clear here. Money, plenty money, right? Talent, plenty talent. Skills, plenty of skills. Experts, political experts, you name it, we got it. So we have no shortage of these things. What we do have is a shortage of will, of people willing to make a sacrifice. You can say you love the Palestinian people, but if you're not willing to sacrifice something for the Palestinian people, then your love means nothing to the Palestinian people. So I will say this, for me, one of the things about all of our communities, from Arab Americans to Muslim Americans, sometimes we're both of those things, we are a very generous people, extremely generous people. Alhamdulillah. You just tell somebody we're doing a fundraiser for Gaza, and people will start writing checks with multiple zeros at the end of them. So we are a generous community when it comes to charity. But the place that the Arab American and Muslim American community have dropped the ball is in the political scene. So when you have members of Congress that represent you, that are voting for the bombs that drop on the Palestinian people, shame on us that we have members of Congress. Shame on our community that we allow people to sit in places of power that are making decisions on behalf of their constituents, knowing that the majority of their constituents do not agree that bombs should be dropping on Gaza right now. So that's the first thing. We also have a problem in our community where we are driven by emotion. The Palestinian people don't want you to be driven by emotion. They want you to be strategic. They want you to make the best decisions on their behalf, because you have that power and opportunity to do something in this country, the country that is the one that is underwriting an entire genocide and 77 years of occupation. But instead, what we do is, during the political season, people who have absolutely zero expertise in politics start telling our community what to do, who to vote for, who not to vote for. They start developing campaigns, grifting off the backs of people in our community that have been doing this work for decades, and our community moves with the emotion. Let's just say right now, we are in a very bad situation for the Palestinian people. And sometimes we need to ask ourselves, what more can we do? So what I'm asking us in this room is to say, you got an election coming up in 2026. And for anyone in our movements that has long-standingly told me, we don't do politics. Electoral politics is not the way to freedom and liberation. No one ever said that electoral politics is the way to freedom and liberation. Electoral politics is alleviation of harm and suffering. It's something that you do in the meantime, right now, as you build towards freedom and liberation. That's what electoral politics is all about. So if you have the opportunity to defeat 25 members of Congress who literally signed bills or put their names on bills to drop more bombs on the Palestinian people in 2 years, that is your responsibility. And if you decide not to participate in that as an American citizen who's registered to vote, then you, my friends, too, are complicit in those members of Congress who vote to bomb the Palestinian people. I'm sick and tired of people not understanding that there's different roles for people to play. If you want to be a direct action organizer, you want to be the protester, you do that. And I commend you for being a protester. But there are got to be some people in our community that play a political strategy that has to be adhered by those in our community. There are districts all across this country where Arab Americans and Muslim Americans are high concentration voters. You could swing an entire district. You, by yourselves as a community, could elect or de-elect somebody from office. So why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing that? And how do we walk around, moving around with many of us in this room who have members of Congress who do not reflect our values and are not the type of leadership that we deserve? So I'm counting on you in 2026 to do a few things. Organize locally. Who's your member of Congress? What have they done? What choices have they made? Who's running in your district? Who could you get behind in your district? And let's create a wave around the country. I'm not talking a blue wave or a red wave or a green wave or a whatever wave. I'm talking about a wave of members of Congress who are standing on principle, who are willing to commit to fighting for the freedom of the Palestinian people. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to do that? Lastly, I'll just say this. We have to really, and I'm going to reiterate this point because I said this last week at another convening that we are out at, respect leadership in our community. And I don't mean that we are a community that's top down. I'm saying there are some people in our community that have been doing this work for 20, 30 years. For God's sake, at least some credence to people who have dedicated this part of their life, some of us our entire life to this, that we've done the work, we've done the research, we have the credentials. So when we are helping to develop a strategy for our community, know that at least for us, at least for me, the Palestinian people are at the core of what I believe, of how I work and how I organize. And for those of you in this room who are not Palestinian, I want to make something very clear to you. You all know me very well. Yemen, I ran a campaign around an anti-war resolution for the Saudi-led war on Yemen. I don't care what country, you know I'm outside for everybody in solidarity. The reason why right now why the Palestinian people are core to everything that I do right now is because if you allow a genocide to continue against the Palestinian people, then you have failed all of your people regardless where you are from. So if we can't end this genocide, then we are sending a message to the people of Yemen, to the people of Lebanon, to the people of Syria, to the people of everywhere around the world that we care about, that we will fail you just like we failed the Palestinian people. So let's free Palestine so everybody can be free.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, I mean, what we do to get there is, you know, a lot of the work that I've done over the last 2 years has really stemmed from a place of introspection. We come from communities that have a very perverted definition of pride. A very perverted definition of pride. My mother and father, when I first told them I was going to quit my, alhamdulillah, successful career to go to the streets to physically put my body on the ground as a woman who worked in high-level positions at the UN, got a graduate degree from Harvard, like all the accolades. I did all the things that I was supposed to do to make my parents proud. But I was not doing the things I was supposed to do to make my child proud. To make people in Palestine proud. Because, as I mentioned earlier, intellectualizing problems has not solved any problems ever in human history. If you look at every crisis in the world, it's a lot of what Linda talked about. It's mobilizing, it's being strategic, it's holding a mirror up to the systems of injustice to say, this is what you're doing and how. And everyone plays a role, but what I found was missing was the people that were willing to challenge the injustice every day, over time, with endurance, with perseverance, with dedication, and that is what changed hearts and minds over time. I went literally from talking about creating global systems, running multi-million-dollar budgets on how to create these systems, to saying, if I can't practice what I preach and live out what I'm teaching other people, it reminded me of the saying, we wait for heroes to come rescue us instead of becoming heroes and rescuing ourselves. Who's gonna rescue the Arab world, Palestine? Who? You can talk about it all day long in conference rooms. It is not creating tangible change because we're not engaging with the very systems. And why my calling is, you know, on this stage and what I've been finally able to speak out, because for a long time I wanted to do the work. I wanted to be boots on the ground. I wanted to be doing the things that people thought was aib, was sinful, was wrong, was dirty, was icky. Hazami, really? You're gonna put your hair and your head on the dirty pavement and have people ignore you and walk over your body? Yes, because that highlights their inhumanity. And you dismantle systems of oppression by allowing Zionists to Zionist. The biggest reason people are changing their perspectives on Israel now is because they are being exposed to how inhumane, how unjust, how vile Zionists and the system that upholds the Israeli apartheid, brutal, barbaric genocide actually is. My job is to simply hold up those pictures and to ask people as they walk by me, is this something you are proud of, as they walk in and out of the White House? And I have asked, and I've tried to mobilize people, and I have people in our protest group that are actually here right now, and they are some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, some of the most connected people. But guess what, on those sidewalks? Doesn't matter where our backgrounds are from. We are very few. We are the very few people that are showing up consistently, showing up in ways that other people think is beneath them. And why this is important for me to say is if you looked at my LinkedIn, most people are scratching their heads being like, what? We actually have people in front of the White House come and say, get a job. My favorite response is, I could have yours if I wanted it. Because that is the truth. That is the truth. And until we change in our communities our mindset of self-righteousness around what it means to over-intellectualize things, we are not reaching the hearts and minds of American people. And if you look at the tipping point statistically, you need 3.5% of a population to shift their mind and change their behavior in order to shift the tides on an issue. That is 12 million people. How are we reaching those 12 million people? We need to be at their workplaces, in their communities, in their synagogues, in their churches, in front of their places of work, so that every time a staffer walks into the White House and has to walk by us, dumping red symbolic blood, I don't know if you guys have seen our videos, they physically have to drag the red liquid that we throw on the floor onto the sidewalk and into the main door of the White House. Think about the image that leaves in their head. Think about that. And we ask them, are you proud to walk through the blood of Palestine? Because that's what you're doing. And I am humbled but also sad to say that several of the staff resignations that we saw under the last administration, people came to us months after they resigned and said, you and the protest group haunted us, and I could no longer live with my conscience. But the reason I am sad, not enough people are doing it. We are a handful of 4 or 5 people. We literally shut down the entire NBC, MSNBC, CNBC studios with literally 5 mothers and grandmothers with big megaphones, but we were able to challenge a multi-million-dollar system in a way that most people wanted to chant on a weekend in Arabic. Who are you reaching? Chanting on a weekend in Arabic? No one. So we need to differentiate between protest spaces as a place for grief and processing, which is important, and we need to really think about, if we're trying to create change, who is our audience? How do we reach them? And how do we speak to them in a way that invites them to change and doesn't just shame them? And that is where we need to be focusing.
I think I've learned so much in the last 2 years by looking at how groups like AIPAC and Christians United for Israel have organized for a long time now. And we used to say, oh, it's the money, they have so much money. But that's really not it. It's the organizing. It's the huge amount of energy that they've put into organizing all over the country. And when you look and you think that 38 states in this United States have legislation against something as American as boycott, divestment, and sanctions, I mean, that's insane, but that shows you their level of organizing. When you see that they're trying to shove through in local districts and states the Holocaust definition of anti-Semitism that would include criticism of Israel, that's because they are so organized. When you see that just last week they had 250 members of locally elected officials in Israel to get the propaganda tour, that's because they work not only at the national level but also at the local level. As an aside, I hope you saw that wonderful daughter of a Republican who went on the tour. If you didn't see it, watch it on social media because she outs her father for being a sellout and going on a propaganda tour of Israel. And it's gone viral, and it's beautiful because we have to out these people, and that's part of what we do at Code Pink when we're in the halls of Congress, is out these people as often as we can because it shows their constituents. Who are these people? Who are these devils who are supposed to be representing us, but are representing a foreign country? And so I think taking the position of organizing both locally and nationally. And I think, when Linda, what you said about getting people behind new wave of politicians like Mamdani, as you have done so beautifully, that are going to be the new mayor of New York.
Inshallah.
This is a new wave. This is inspirational for people all over the country. And what I'm also seeing is that we are getting very organized. When I see that there are 3 members of the House, and we rate them, Code Pink does, A, B, C. These are C members, which means they're pretty awful. They have 2 of them in North Carolina and 1 in Kentucky have said publicly that they refuse to take AIPAC money. That is progress.
Yeah.
Making AIPAC money show what it is of blood money is very important. So we're way behind the curve. The change is coming agonizingly slow, but we are doing it because we're getting organized. And that's all we have to do more is get more and more organized, more committed, and more effective.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time, but we may follow the liberties of the previous panel and go a few minutes over because I'm told we're your last panel of the day. Linda said that she loves Dearborn. I'll tell you, this is my longest trip to Dearborn. I've decided I'm going to try every Yemeni coffee shop here, but I won't name them because I don't want to start a turf war. A conversation her and I had as we took on another one today, I think we've been to 3 in 12 hours, was in 2017. Do you all remember 2017?
Oh, I remember.
It felt like the sky was falling.
Yeah.
And now 2017 feels like a cakewalk. If you could tell your younger self, and there are parents who may need support in what to tell their young people or young people here who may benefit from this, if you could tell your younger self something about preparing for what's to come, excuse me for being a little bit pessimistic, but I do worry it will get worse before it gets better. With everything you've seen and done and lived, what would you say?
Who starts?
You.
I would say build the community that is your loving community that you are going to go to cry on, to organize with, to get you through the hardest times. It might be your biological family and it might not. I got a lot of people in my family who don't agree with me. Find that community because they're the ones that are going to get you through. And I finally would just say that I was with the great legendary rock star Roger Waters the other day, and he said something that stays with me, which is, wake up in the morning and think, what are you going to do for Palestine? Go to bed at night saying to yourself, what did you do about Palestine? Think about it and do something every day.
I would say that there's no right answer. One of the most powerful lessons that stuck with me actually from my time at Harvard was, I was so eager to learn everything I can, and a professor told me, the people who tell you they know everything know nothing. We need to be eager to learn and be okay learning and be okay unlearning and be okay relearning and be okay interrogating. And I show up in all our spaces and I say, I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out together. And that requires trust, it requires respect, and it requires a belief that change is possible. I am a helpless optimist. I would not be able to be in the streets every single day, and I would not be fighting so hard if I did not believe deep in my bones that Palestine and Syria and Lebanon and Yemen and all of our countries will be free. You have to believe that. Deep in your bones, you have to believe it. And then to Medea's point, you have to question, how am I going to show up? Breaking free of the mental shackles that so many of us have imposed on ourselves and have allowed our communities to impose on us with regards to what is right and what is wrong. There is only one way, and it is forward. And that requires sometimes going back and going sideways, but we continue forward. No one has the answer. Make mistakes, get messy, just do it.
I think I would go back and tell my younger self, and even my younger self kind of knew this a little bit, but, and when you said the 2017 and brought us here, I'll go back to, take me back to 2017. I'll go back there. I would tell my younger self that there is nothing that I would sacrifice today that would even be close to the sacrifices of the Palestinian people. I am not afraid. I will not be silenced. I will not be intimidated, because there is nothing that could happen to me in this country that would be even close to the horror that has been inflicted on the Palestinian people. And that my people have sacrificed everything for me. They have shown the dignity and the resilience of the Palestinian people. And they have stood alone where world leaders all across this world have turned their backs on the Palestinian people. And so for me, I say to people all the time that we're not all the same. Not all of us are going to take the same risks. Not all of us have the same willpower. Not all of us have the same courage. But at least from my standpoint, the very least that people in our community can do is support those that do have the courage. Support those who are showing up in the same way that the Palestinian people have shown up for us. I always say to people in our community all the time, what more do you want from the Palestinian people? They carried their dead babies to the cameras for you. They have sacrificed their love, their blood, everything that they love, they sacrificed for you to show the world who we are and what we stand for, that we are a people who value life. We teach life. You know, I say to people all the time, there's people, of course, you know, that have delayed weddings over the course of genocide, and now people are getting back to getting married because how long? We didn't know the genocide was going to be for 2 years. And you know what the Palestinian people do? They get married over the rubble. They still birth children during genocide because our people are a people who love life. And the least that we can do in this country is to make one small sacrifice, and some of us will make bigger sacrifices. What I will say to you right now is that when those times come, for those of us in this community who are on the front lines, who are people that our names are known in the most powerful halls in this country, that you stand with those in your community. Those frontline organizers who will get targeted by this government, by people who don't like those who stand for truth, people who are willing to make those sacrifices. Know that when you stand with them, you are also standing with the Palestinian people in Gaza. And I will also tell my younger self, because I always knew this, and I'm similarly to Hazami, I wouldn't be doing this work and wouldn't be here today if I did not believe that it's not if Palestine is going to be free. It is when Palestine is going to be free. Because it will be free.
It will be.
And believe it or not, before genocide, I wasn't sure if it was going to be in my lifetime. And I was willing to do the work anyway. Because even if it wasn't going to be in my lifetime, it would be in the lifetime of another Palestinian generation after me. But now, I believe more than I've ever believed in my life that it's going to be in my lifetime and your lifetime. And we are going to go to Palestine, and Palestine is going to be free. And I literally am going to say this to my baby granddaughter when she's here, that one day I'm going to take her to the beaches of Gaza. And the only sound she will hear is the sound of the waves and the laughter of the children. And inshallah, one day, we will have an ADC convention on a on the beautiful Mediterranean Sea in Gaza. And I want that to be your vision when you leave here in ArabCon. That yes, the moments are dark, you have seen bloodshed, but it will not be in vain. And the blood of our people is not in vain. And inshallah, in their honor, what we have to do is we have to work in their honor to build a free Palestine. Because when Palestine is free, I promise you, from South America to Central America to the African continent to South Asia, the whole world is going to be free once the Palestinian people are free.
Brothers and sisters, say Amin. And please join me in a final round of applause for these frontline leaders, our sheroes, my sisters. Give it up to them, standing up. They put their bodies on the line. You do it too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Free, free Palestine!
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 Free, free Palestine. Peace.
That was awesome. That was great. All right, that concludes our daytime programming. We will see you back here at 7 p.m. today for Layali. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Salam alaikum.